we're going to go off topic and we are going to talk about Hanukkah and specifically Maoz Tzur. Now, because I have them up and decorating around, so I will just do a quick introduction to the three very unique Chanukiot that I have around me. Above me over there, is the Chanukiah that was given by the chair of the Nairobi Hebrew congregation, the community that we were working in before this. So she was the previous chair and she had this made for us. The one behind me over here is from the Yemenite community in Tanzania. So the head of the Jewish community over there, his father made one like this. It's part of an old Yemenite story of what's called Agadat Shalom Shabazi. For anyone who has flown to Israel, there is a menorah of Shalom Shabazi right when you come out of the airport. There is this one, it looks like it's struck by lightning. That is the story of Shalom Shabazi, and it's a beautiful story. And so his father made one like this, and he decided to make one out of ebony, and gave that to me. And this one over here is from the Abu Yadaya community in Uganda. It's a community that recently went through a conversion, and this was the first one that they made for themselves, and then they wanted to make a new one, so I paid to have a new one commissioned for them, and they gave me this one. So now I have from the three main communities that we worked with in Africa over the past 5 years, and very, very different styles, but there's just a lot of fun and very decorative around, so I figured we'll...
And also your vest is from...
And also my vest is Kenyan. Yeah, a lot of Africa, and all the drums behind.
That was fabric we found in Kenya.
Yeah, so it's got little Chanukiot on it, so it became my Hanukkah vest. Okay, so we have, after we light the candles, after we light the candles, and we will do that tonight, and then again after we light the candles, and after we light the candles over here, then everybody's going to go home and light candles again in their house. But after we finish lighting the candles over here, we're going to sing two songs. The first one is Hanerot Halalu, and it's a fairly simple song, right? It is these candles that we are lighting. They are to remind us of the miracles that you did for our fathers, right? Do them also for us, right? Like, don't be stingy with your miracles. We need a miracle too. Times are tough again. But perhaps the most famous, or one of the most famous Jewish songs of all time, and I've been around the world, I've been to communities that have had virtually no education, and almost everybody knows Maoz Tzur, which is very, very interesting that people would. But even people who know it, the majority know only the beginning. Sometimes you find people, because of the custom of the place, that know the first verse and the fifth verse, but there are altogether 6 verses. Now, this is a very interesting song that we sing, and it wasn't written for Hanukkah at all. Which makes this even more interesting, right? So it is there's a whole history of what is Maoz Tzur. So let's just start a second from the basic. When did the story of Hanukkah happen? Where's your sister? She wrote a whole thing about this. It was in her presentation. No, you. Right? When was the story of Hanukkah? When did the Greeks take over? It's on your Israel timeline. Give or take, any guesses?
18.
What is the year? 650, 339. What other guesses? Lower. It goes lower. 76.
Around 150 BC.
Very good. Okay, so it's minus it's minus 138 BC, right? That is the year of the miracle of Hanukkah. Well, it's hard to exactly pinpoint, so minus 150 is also in that range. There is the celebration of Hanukkah is after the 4th war out of 8 wars that happened throughout our battle with the Greeks. At that point, we get control of the temple, and we decide we are going to celebrate now, even though the war is not over, even though things are not perfect. We are going to celebrate now because we are going to say thank you for every victory that we have. This is a big moment. Maoz Tzur. Any guesses when Maoz Tzur is written? There are no wrong answers. Like there are wrong answers, but no wrong guesses. How's that?
Just say first and last one.
How long ago do you think Maoz Tzur was written?
I think it was written around the Middle Ages.
Okay, Middle Ages. What years are you throwing out there?
16.
Around the, I don't know, the 12th or 13th century.
Okay, we got a good numbers guy over here. All right, so it's exactly that. It's around the 11th to 12th century. No one is very clear on when, because we don't know who wrote it. So, most famous Jewish song, not written about Hanukkah, and no one really knows who wrote it. His name was Mordechai. That's all we know. Okay? And we can look at that, the first letter of every one. So Maoz, the first letter is Mem. Ra'ot, first letter, Resh. Devir, first letter,
Got it.
Kirot, and Yevanim, Yud. It spells out Mordechai. Now this is an acrostic that we find in a ton of Jewish piyutim that are in. For example, one of the most famous ones that we have is Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi is written by Shlomo Alkabetz, and he writes it in Tzfat, and he writes his name Shlomo Halevi inside, right? Shemo v'Zachol, right? It goes through all of them, and that writes his name. So we have this. There's one part that I didn't say, and that's the 6th one, yes. Right? Because that would be Mordechai, right? But there is no in Mordechai. So the chet, we will get to that. We'll leave it a little bit for later. You can speculate in the meantime who wrote it and why. There is so he writes it in the time of the Crusades. First Crusade starts in 1096. Last Crusade ends in 1291. Okay, like the end of the Crusade. This is very clearly written in the time of the Crusades in Hebrew for the Hebrew speakers, Masaot Tzlav. Okay, then the Christians were going around and forcing Jews to convert. And while they were doing this, and everybody had the same choices: convert or die. That's going on in the Crusades all the time. Then right afterwards, you have the Spanish Inquisition.
What are the words for crusade in Hebrew?
Masaot
And what does
Hatzlav.
it mean?
Masaot, the journey of the Tzlav of the cross. Right? So in that period of time, there's 8 crusades, right? And in those 8 crusades, it's not clear exactly when it's being written, if it's being written during the time of the crusades or slightly afterwards, but it's very clear that this is what prompts Mordechai to write Maoz Tzur. Okay?
Were the Crusades also first? The Crusades were also?
The Crusades were all over Europe, all over the Roman Empire, right? I'm not a big, I don't know exactly when or where it was written. There's a question of where this was written, and most speculations say Germany, okay? Because both of the people that they are assuming are Mordechai were in Germany. One is Rav Mordechai ben Hillel from Nuremberg. He is, he's known, his title is the Mordechai, and this is how he signed everything, and his books were called that. So there are speculations, because he wrote another poem, and it sort of works with the time period of when it was and his name. The other one is a poem, a poet named Mordechai ben Yitzchak. He lived in Germany again, so that's why that's the assumption. and he wrote a Shabbat song for like the Shabbat table. It was a lot of the Shabbat songs were competing with what's going to get put into the Siddur, like Lecha Dodi. There were other ones that were competing. He wrote Mayafit, not known to many, but it on a musical level, it's the same. The pattern of how many syllables per line and things like that, that there are people who research this, end up saying that it could have been either of these two, and both of them were Mordechai. So it could have been either of them. The tune for Maoz Tzur, there were many tunes. There are many tunes. The most common one that people know is Maoz Tzur Yeshuati. That one comes in about the 15th century.
Wait, there's a different tune?
There is a different tune.
I've never heard another.
Yeah.
Of course you do. We sing it. We sing the Breslov one,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Maoz Tzur Yeshuati Lechanae Leshabeach. So there are other tunes. Oh, it's wonderful. Okay, but no one knows. That's why I don't sing it with other people. I sing it with like a few friends that know it, and we sing it. And it's a Breslov tune. But you have other tunes from different places. This one is in the 15th century, and it comes from Germany. It was a folk song, regular folk tune, and someone took it and just adapted it into Maoz Tzur because the tune fit nicely and it stuck. So that is the most common tune. Okay, now we are gonna start going through Maoz Tzur. I specifically have it on two sides. So on this side, you have the Hebrew and the transliterated. On the back side, it's the translation. I want to do first the words without you looking at the translation, so that we can try to see if we can decipher the words. And I have a few Israelis here, and some of you who went to Kadima and have some Hebrew that we'll be able to use. I'm going to try to see if we can figure out together the words and what they mean. Maoz Tzur Yeshuati Lecha Na'e Leshabeach. The words. Maoz. What does Maoz mean? What is Oz? Right? We have this in a few places.
It's mighty.
Mighty, strength. What is Tzur?
Rock.
Rock. What kind of rock? It is so whenever they put it together, it's always mighty rock, right? But Tzur is flint. It is a rock that is unshakable, right? And it has fire inside of it. Whenever someone's talking about, right, you can take two wet stones, hit them together and get a spark, right? So there's fire in the stone, right? That's how people view it. So Maoz Tzur, something that is strong and gives power and is unshakable. Yeshuati, what is Yeshua? Salvation. Lecha na'el leshabeach. To you, it is what? It is good to leshabeach, to give praise, right? So, it starts out really, really nice. I promise you it's not going to stay nice. I'm going to ruin the Maoz Tzur for you a little bit. Okay? So, Maoz Tzur starts out with...
Just make an announcement.
Yes.
Everyone feel free to get up in the middle
and go and take and come back.
Just remember to have another cake that I forgot to put out. Everyone, please come and take more food.
Okay, so the piyut itself starts out really nice. Maoz Tzur Yeshuati. I'm praising God by saying, you are strong, you are our salvation, right? And we would like to praise to you. It is good to praise to you. Tikon Beit Tfilati Visham Toda Nezabech. Tikon comes from lahachin, to build, to get ready. Tikon, right? Something muchan. Tikon Beit Tfilati. What the house of prayer that we're asking for? You see, it's being built, right? There's cranes there and everything. So this is a prayer. So over here, we're in the year around 1200, right?
Okay.
So this is after both of them are
Right,
destroyed.
so this is
This
the
is the
next
third
one.
one, right?
Okay,
So now we have the third one over here, and anyone who's over there, there's a picture of the Beit HaMikdash being built. Okay, so the Tikon Bet Tefilati, build the temple, Visham Toda Nizabech, and over there, what will we do? Sacrifice what? What is a Toda? So thanks and gratitude. A Toda is a type of offering. It's a korban. There is a korban Toda. There's a very long conversation that we're going to end up having in the Siddur classes over and over again. And in the end, we will get to a conclusion because there are very different approaches in this, which was the ideal way to communicate with God. Prayer. We weren't able to. Therefore, we brought sacrifices. And now we are elevated again. And we are praying with our words as opposed to with sacrifices. Or are we only praying today because we don't have a temple and we don't have the sacrifices? Okay? The prayers, learning to say thank you is one thing. But the offering is the action of saying thank you, right? You want to show that you are going through a change, you're going through a process. You actually need to make that move of what is a korban todah? What am I bringing? So, Tikon bet tefilati, we said, Hashem, my rock, it is good to praise to you. And when you will build this, the temple again, or when we will build the temple again, then we will be able to praise you. Here is where all the nice things stop, okay? And it takes a dark turn, and it goes until the end. It's slightly rough, okay? So it does get better in the end, but there is a process that we go through. Le'et tachin matbeach mitzar haminabech. Every single word here was rough, okay? Even for the Israelis in the room, I'm assuming that not all of us know these words. Le'et, that's just fancy Hebrew, which means for the time. Tachin, when you will make. Matbeach. What's a matbeach? A slaughter. What do we call this area now in the house? A mitbach, right? A slaughterhouse is a bet mitbachayim, right? So when you will be preparing the slaughter, mitzar hamenabech. So the word tsar, we think of it as in Hebrew as narrow, but or an enemy and tzara, right? So we have that in Purim. Ish tsar ve'oyev, right? When Esther talks about Haman, she says ish tsar ve'oyev. This is he's an evil. He's the enemy. Ish, right? And what is it? Haminabeach. So that's a very weird word, but it actually you can totally use it in Hebrew today, as it's just very, very fancy. So it is an animal sound. Linvoach, right? So mitzar hamnabech. When you prepare the slaughter of the barking enemy, in other words, we're going to have this as an image of understanding what is when they are writing this. When he is writing this during the Crusades. Jews are being burnt alive at the stake on a daily basis, right? This is a song written originally against Christianity. Keep that in mind because this does change some things in how we will understand later on. As igmo, then I will finish b'shir mizmor, with a singing praise, Chanukat HaMizbech. So when, God, you prepare the slaughter of this barking enemy, which is not usually how we talk about people. We don't usually refer to them. But during the Crusades, you want to call them dogs, you can get away with it, right? As long as you're not doing it to their face. So at this point, he's saying, God, we want to praise you. The temple is destroyed. we don't have a way to praise you anymore. When you will slaughter our barking enemies, then we will be able to praise you again in the Chanukat HaMizbech, in the celebration of the Mizbech, in the celebration of the new temple. This is an introduction to everything that we're going to see. The Maoz Tzur, originally not written for Hanukkah, written as a sort of a painful song to when you're going through a tragedy. There's a lot of emotion that is being written over here. We sing it with this joyful tune, and we don't learn the words, and then we go, oh, it's wonderful. When we finish it, we'll see that it all ties together in an understanding of every single time, every generation, we've had those who've come to want to annihilate us, and every single generation, God helps us and we survive them. And because of that, we're singing. Lighting the Hanukkah candles is exactly that, right? We just had a horrible terrorist attack in Sydney. And the natural instinct is to shrivel up and hide, right? Be scared. Something terrible has happened and they want to target you. And then what do? We go outside and we light candles. We tell them, here I am, right? Like, I'm going to show you. This is the story of Hanukkah, and it's a story of the Jewish people of saying, we will not hide. We will not be quiet. Our light will keep on shining. Our light will keep on shining, and it will be stronger than the darkness you're bringing. We're up to the second one. Let's see where we can figure this out. Let's see how fast it takes us to figure out which one, what we're talking about in each one. Ra'ot sav'an nafshi biyagon kochi chila. Ra'ot. Alright. Ra'ot, terrible things. Sav'an nafshi. My nefet, my soul is full, right? To be savea means to be full, right? You've had enough to eat. I am savea. So my soul is filled with bad things. In other words, chalas, right? I'm done. I've had enough. Biyagon kochi chila. In sorrow, okay, my energy has run out, right? I'm tired from continuing to fight. Again, who's writing this and in what period of time? Chayai mereru bekoshi. Okay, my life became bitter with heartache. My life became bitter with heartache. B'shi'abud malchut egla. When we were being enslaved by the kingdom of what's egla or an egel? A calf. A calf. Okay? So, with this first line, we have enough information that we should be able to figure out the poetic side of which enemy we are talking about. So here he has fun. Okay? So let's break it down again. My life became what? Mereru. What is the word mereru? Where do we have that in a Jewish holiday? Maror, right? Maror. Pesach, right? We're talking about Pesach. So the Egyptians, right? But here he has even more fun. He takes it, there's a lot of different ways of how you can write this. And what does he write? He says, Chayai mereru. They became better with what? With koshi. The root of koshi, funny enough, is kash, straw. So he's using this as a play on words of the heartache and the straws of to make the cement, right? Because it keeps on referring to it over and over again in the Torah that we have to use the straw to make the bricks, right? So he's using this as a place of order. He's like, what did we become tired with? We became bitter, and our life became bitter with what? With building these bricks, right? B'shi'abud malchut eglah, when we were being enslaved by the kingdom of the calf. Here's an interesting thing. There are a few different explanations that I have seen about this. Explanation number one is you find in different hieroglyphics the mention of gods with different animal heads, and the Egyptians worshipped a lot of different animals, one of them being a calf. That's one. The other one has to do with the golden calf. And here is something that we will get to in great depth and talk about it later on, but just to have a basic understanding of this. There's the story of the golden calf. We're familiar with it? Cheta again? Okay? The Am Yisrael goes to get the Torah, right? They're going to get the Torah, they're at Har Sinai. Moshe goes up to get the 10 Commandments, the Aseret HaDibrot, and then when he comes down, the nation is dancing around a golden calf, an Egel HaZahav. Okay? Now, when this happens, you just heard God's voice. God told you, I am God. Do not worship idols. God just took you out of Egypt. You just saw all these miracles. How can you worship a golden calf? How can you worship a statue? And a bigger question, Aharon, Moshe's brother, makes it for them. You go, Aaron, you're responsible for the nation. How are you participating in this? And there was an archaeological dig about 20 years ago in one of the big scenes of when we came into the land. We go to two mountains, Har Grizim and Har Eival. They are, today there's a Jewish community by Har Grizim called Har Bracha, the mountain of the blessing, as that's what Har Grizim is. On Har Grizim itself, there is a community of Shomronim who do not believe in the oral Torah, so they have a different version of Judaism, a whole interesting conversation about them. And then you have right next to it, it's by Shechem. Okay, so that's the area. On Har Grizim and Har Eival, because it was a historical place, there were many nations that were there and many temples that were built. And they have found in multiple places statues, and the statue goes on top of a golden or brass cow, calf, mule, donkey. One of these four animals that they are known for carrying weight. And they have a flat back, and the idol sits on top of it. And when Aaron creates the idol for them, he says, here is your God. What is he pointing at? He's not pointing at the cow, because none of us were stupid enough to think that the cow is God. But Am Yisrael that just leaves Mitzrayim has a hard time understanding, where is God? I can't see him. He's not tangible, right? I can't hear him. I can't see him. I can't feel him. So all the other nations have statues. And what does a statue sit on? A golden calf. So Aaron creates a golden calf and said, here is your God. That God is above this, right?
So there was no physical entity.
So there's no physical entity.
Yeah.
Right? But he was trying to explain to them in terms they would understand.
But they had all been present at Sinai.
They were. Which is why when
So they heard God.
They heard God, and they have a hard time with this relationship because of the amount of time they were in Egypt. It's generations of being surrounded with idol worshiping. So there are speculations of a new kind of understanding, and from that also understanding that the gold that we took out of Egypt creates the egel. And there's a few other nice ideas, but We're halfway into the class and only on the second paragraph. So we're going to continue. Uviyado hagedola hotzi et hasegula. And with his big hand, right? And we say this, biyad chazaka, right? We talk about this all the time at the seder. Biyado hagdola hotzi et hasegula. What is a segula?
An omen.
So that's how we use it today, as an omen. But a segula means some. So it's in English, the better translation would be an omen, okay? Which would be like it is something. I'm doing something so that good luck will come. For example, right. So for example, when you eat an apple and honey, did it create a happy sweet new year? No, it's a segula for a sweet new year. When you eat, right, like when you eat a fish head, did you suddenly become leaders? No, it's a segula. It is putting yourself in a mindset of, right? So a segula is something that is precious and something that is special and something that can elevate you. So we are called an am segula, a nation that if we act appropriately, we are supposed to be that to the world, right? If we are or not is a whole other conversation of are we doing our job properly and truthfully to the rest of the world. Chel paro, and here's if you didn't get it until now that we're talking about paro, so he throws it in the last line. Chel paro v'chol zaro yardu ke'even bimtsula. The army of Paro and all of his descendants, right? Everybody goes down. They sink like a rock in the depths of the ocean, right? So we started out with an introduction. Now we went through our first exile, Egypt. Next one. Devir kodsho heviani v'gam sham lo shakatati. So I was brought back to Israel. After we finished Egypt, we come to Israel, and what are we brought to? To the Dvir. Dvir is one of the names of the Bet HaMikdash, of the temple. So, Dvir Kodsha, to his holy temple, he brought me, but also over there, V'gam Sham Lo Shakatati, I didn't have rest, right? You would think we finally made it to Israel after Egypt, now we can rest. No, we weren't able to rest. What happened? Uva nogesh vihiglani, or noges vihiglani, ki zarim avadati. And who came? Uva, and he came. Noges. What is lingos? To bite. Okay? And this nation came and bit down, right? Vihiglani, and he took me out to Galut, right? He exiled me. Why? Ki zarim avadati. Here's the reason why we were exiled. Because zarim avadati, flip those words around. Avadati zarim. Avodah zara. Why were we exiled the first time? Because we went and we were worshiping idols. It's very explicit in Melachim, in the book of Kings, right? We were worshiping idols, and then we were exiled. So, who is the one who exiled us when in the book of Kings? Anyone remember? No?
Syrians.
Huh?
Syrians.
The Assyrians exiled part of the nation. We are no longer talking about that group. They were the kingdom of Israel. We're the kingdom of Judea, right? So when we're splitting, this is from our lineage. They're the Babylonians, right? So the Babylonians come right after the Assyrians, and we come there and we use the Assyrian language because the Babylonians are to the Assyrians what the Romans were to the Greeks, right? It's they took over and took their entire personality, right? The Romans and the Greeks are the same exact nation, and they have the same gods, they just changed their names, right? Because this was part of the Roman Empire, was they didn't have enough history to be able to create their own mythology. So they just go and they take the Greek mythology and change the names. Same with the Babylonians and the Assyrians.
These Babel, they were actually the Persians.
Correct. Correct. So that actually will lead us into the next one as well.
Yeah.
But so Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babel, exiles us to Babylonia. V'yein ra'al masachti kim'at she'avarti. Okay, here's again weird words that we're not really familiar with. Yain, we know, is wine. Ra'al is poison. Masachti, to pour. Linasech. Okay, so I've poured a poisonous wine. Where would you be pouring poisonous wine? It's not actually poisonous. It's not kosher. What would make it not kosher? The pouring it, okay? Part of what makes wine problematic, really problematic, is in countries like Thailand or in a lot of Southeast Asia, some places in Africa, right? But it used to be the entire world. You were worshiping an idol. You have an altar over there. And then you want to bring an offering. So everything that you are bringing, it needs to be important. You take a wine and you pour it in front of the idol. This is called Yein Nesech. And it is on a higher level of prohibition than eating pagans, right? Because it's idol worshiping and it's not kosher, and right, like you've got a whole set of problems over there. So on the hierarchy of things, but today we just go, it's wine. What can be a problem with it, right? Some of it can be really problematic. So we need to, yes, be aware of this, but this is referred to over here by him on a poetic level as a poisonous wine, right? I poured for idols. Kim'at she'avalti. It was almost that we assimilated. We were almost destroyed because of this. Keep in mind, the Babylonian exile was only 70 years before we came back. We didn't all come back. 20% came back. 80% stayed over there. But in those 70 years, the mindset was there was almost no Judaism. That's how powerful this exile was. Okay? Kimat she'avarti, but then Ketz Bavel, Zeru Bavel, Leket Shivim Noshati. Ketz Bavel, the end of Bavel, which is when we came back to Israel. Zeru Bavel, he was a prophet. Some attribute him to Nehemiah or to Ezra as being known also as Zerubbabel, the one who will be bringing us back to Israel. Leket Shivim Noshati, we were saved after 70 years. 70 is a really important number in Judaism in general. We have talked about this before in other things, but 70 is a life of a person, right? David HaMelech says if a person lives a life, he lived to 70. And if a person was brazen, right, he's like, wow, he made it to 80, right? So at your 70th birthday, right, we've already done this for a few people, we say a shehechianu, right? Because you get a second life. So after a life sentence of being exiled, we come back and we build the second temple. Just as a good historical note, 70 years after the second temple is destroyed, is the Bar Kokhba revolt to go and build it again, because that's the mindset. 70 years is a punishment, right? And that's why we were exiled, and this leads into a lot of other things in Judaism. Part of what the Zionist movement in the beginning came to change of, we are going back to Israel, even though we didn't have any sign. It's a whole other conversation. Number 4. Karot komat berosh bikesh agagi ben amedata. Karot, what is lichrot? To cut, to chop down. Okay? Karot komat berosh, komat being a tall, Brosh is a tree. It's a pine tree, but it's not necessarily a pine tree. It is more likely a cypress tree because of the place that this is happening in. But it's one of it's a very big tree. So he chops down the very strong and big tree. Bikesh, he asked to Agagi ben Hamedata. Who is known as Agagi ben Hamedata? No, but same story. Haman. Haman is Haman HaAgagi, and he is Agagi ben Hamedata, who is the descendant of Amalek, right? He is the child that comes from Amalek, and who is this? So Agag was the king. He was the king in the time of Shmuel, when Shmuel was told to kill all of Amalek. He doesn't kill Agag, and Agag lays the seed for Haman to be born that night. So Haman is known as Haman HaAgagi, and he chops down this very tall tree. Why does he chop down the tall tree? Story of Purim. Why is he chopping down a very tall tree?
To hang people.
To hang who?
Mordecai.
Right? You're not supposed to be drunk. On Purim, you're supposed to not remember who's Mordecai, who's Haman. Or on Hanukkah. You shouldn't be that drunk yet. V'nihatalo, and it became for him lepach ulemokesh v'ga'avato nishbata. And it became for him a trap that he laid for himself, right? That's the story of Purim. He goes and brings the tree to hang Mordecai on, and in the end, it ends up being his gallows that he's hung on, right? And you have broken his gaiva, his confidence in himself that he was going to be able to do this. Rosh yemini niseta ve'oyev shmo machita. That the head of Yemini means right. So either someone who was very positive, very good, right-handed, not very likely that this is what we're talking about in this case. There's one person in the story of the Megillah that is known as Ish Yemini. Who is it? Mordechai, right? Mordechai ben Yair ben Kish, Ish Yemini. Ish Yemini is referring to his tribe. He is from the tribe of Binyamin. Okay? So if you are from Binyamin, you are known as a Yemini, right? It's not Yemani, not right. Yemini. Okay? Yemini from the tribe of Binyamin. Yemani means right-handed. Okay, so it's not referring to his physical attribute of being strong or being right-handed, but rather referring to that he is from the tribe of Binyamin. So, Rosh Yemini Niseta, you have risen the head of the person from the tribe of Binyamin, which is what happens in the story of Purim when Achashverosh takes Mordechai and he raises him above all of the other officers, and he becomes, right, from the tribe of Binyamin, a leader of people. The oyev shmo machita, and you have destroyed the name of his enemy, right? What do? Mechiat Amalek, Mechiat Haman. Whenever we say Haman, we go, boo! Why are we doing that? It is limchot et shmo, that we will not hear his name, right? That is Mechiat Amalek. With the Grogger.
You did the sign of his name.
Right, so you're dead. So you want to deaden his name completely, so we won't hear his name, right? That is the purpose. You need to hear his name, but then we make a lot of noise. Rov banav, v'kinyanav, ala etz talita. The majority of his children, or all of his children, v'kinyanav, and his possessions, al ha'etz talita. In the end of the story, we read that they hang Haman's children And over here, he's saying, and his possessions, right? Showing that he is left with nothing, right? So we had so far Egypt, Bavel, and now the story with Persia. This is more when we talk about Persia as opposed to the Babylonian Assyrian exiles, and with Haman. Number 5. Here we are up to our story. Yevanim nikbetzu alai azai bimei chashmanim. The Yevanim, the Greeks, were nikbetzu alai. They came and they gathered and surrounded me when lavriut azai bimei chashmanim. Lavriut. Okay, azai bimei chashmanim. They're in the days of the Chashmonaim, right? Now, this is why there are customs of communities that don't know that you say the whole thing. And what do? Number 1 and number 5. Only focus on Hanukkah. Only Maoz, Tzur, and Yevanim nikbetzu alai. So, the Greeks have surrounded me in the days of the Chashmonaim. Ufartzu chomot migdalai, and they broke down the walls of our city. V'tim'u kol hashmanim, and they impurified, right? They impured. Is there a better word for that? Impured, defiled. Thank you. Defiled our oils, right? So part of an understanding of up until now, all of our exiles and our enemies have wanted to kill us. The Greeks did not want to kill us. The Greeks want us to assimilate. This is a crucial understanding of what happens in Hanukkah. The Egyptians enslaved us so that we will not multiply and want us dead, right? The Nebuchadnezzar exiled us from our country and killed many of us in a very specific goal, right? Rule. Haman wants everybody dead. The Greeks don't want us dead. The Greeks repeatedly do not want us dead.
Why not?
They want us to become Greek.
So there's more. Greek.
So they take the Torah and they translate it into Greek. When they translate it into Greek, the purpose is to say your Torah is just like Aristotle, right? It's a wisdom and it should be accessible. The same. You would like to rest? You want to have a day of rest? No problem. Not on Shabbat. Tuesdays. Tuesday is a good day of rest, right? You want to eat food? No problem. There's just no such thing as kosher, right? You want to light the Hanukkah candles? No problem. They didn't come around and pour the oil on the floor, right? They didn't take it and use it for their Greek salads. What do? They just go, open it, put their hand in, swirl it around. It's no longer kosher. Okay? Because the oil had to be pure. It's for the temple. But they are impure. They are exposed to death. They're not right. There's laws about purity. And what do? They just come and they touch all the oils, right? And this is the fight that we have in the story of Hanukkah, but also the story of today, right? Like it doesn't necessarily disappear from the world, which is you can do the same exact action, but just don't have any spiritual connection to it. You can light the Hanukkah candles. Just don't use pure olive oil. Don't use kosher olive oil, right? Why do you need it to be kosher? Why do you need it to be spiritual? I'll go back a step. When we talk about things that are not kosher, the three top things that aren't kosher, right? Throw out. What is like the non-kosher thing that you can think of? Meat, right? A pig, right? There's a pig that doesn't matter what you do to it. You circumcise it, give it a bar mitzvah, bring it to a mikveh, it is still a pig, right? Right? The saying is you slap lipstick on it, but we've got a different approach to that, right? It's still a pig. Doesn't matter what you do to it. Same with shellfish, same with, right? Like there are things that no matter what you do to them, nothing can ever be kosher about them. The other things are, another thing that's like really, really not kosher, like really up there with pig.
Wine.
Wine, right? And third one?
Oil.
No, I'm putting wine. Oil doesn't fall into that same category. Hard cheeses can fall into that category, but not oil. Oil,
Bread.
not bread. Think of McDonald's. A cheeseburger.
Mix
Right?
meat and
Meat and milk together, right? So here are the three examples that you have. Here are the three examples that you have. You have something that will never be kosher no matter what you do to it. Pig, shellfish, camel, rabbit, etc. Then you have things that you can have the most kosher piece of meat in the world and the most kosher piece of cheese in the world, and you put it together and you made the most non-kosher thing in the world, right? That's interesting. Then you have wine. I can make wine, and a non-Jew can make wine. Today with the technology, it doesn't even mean I don't need to touch anything. I press the button, he pressed the button. It looks the same, it tastes the same. One is kosher lemehadrin, and one is treif. You cannot touch it with the stick, right? It's like that is the extent. Go, hey, why is that up there with the other two, right? Why is it up there? Because there are things that are spiritual. Understanding that spirituality and purity have meaning is our battle with the Greeks. Today, fighting Western civilization is even more complicated to try to understand this, right? Like we're so surrounded with this. One of the things that the Greeks did was they told people one of the first things that they did was they told the Jews they had to remove the doors to their houses. We have had pride in this from the times of the desert. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Israel. When Bilam comes to curse the nation, he looks and he sees that our tents aren't facing each other, which means we can't see when a husband and wife are being intimate because there's privacy. That's an unbelievable thing that other people didn't have. And the Greeks come and say, take down your doors. By order, take down the door, right? And this is to show you, the Greeks want to bring their culture into your house, right? You go out and you live in the world and the whole day you're dealing with the non-Jewish world, but you come back to your house, you kiss your mezuzah, right? You come, you have your kosher kitchen, you have your books, you have your family, you have your Yiddishkeit, you have your Shabbat, you have kosher, right? Like you have a safe space. The Greeks say, tear down the door. Today, it's so much worse than that because there is no door. There is no house. We have everything on our phones, right? We have all of it existing in our house constantly. That boundary between us and the outside world no longer exists. And we need to work 1,000 times harder to maintain our Jewish life. Go back 200 years to the life in the shtetl. You could have lived your whole life in a shtetl without meeting anyone who wasn't Jewish. Every once in a while, a Kozak came by and beheaded someone, and that was the non-Jew that you knew, and you didn't really like him, and he didn't really like you, but that was it, right? There wasn't interactions. While interactions are important, and that is a crucial thing that we're in this situation, that we are supposed to, in many ways, be living with the world, and be working with the world and making a Kiddush Hashem, glorifying God's name in the world, we also need to remember to protect ourselves, protect our families, so that the next generation will also be Jewish. So the next generation will also grow up with these values. And that is becoming harder and harder. And this starts with the Greeks, because they're not trying to kill us. My rabbi always said, he said, I have an easier time with anti-Semitic non-Jews than with non-anti-Semitic non-Jews. He says when you've got anti-Semitic non-Jews, you don't assimilate, right? Because they don't want you, and you don't want them. So everybody is like, because we're being attacked, we will preserve our religion. But when we are surrounded with non-Jews that love us, then we go, what's the difference? And there are a lot of similarities and a lot of wonderful things that we can work with, right? But we need to always remember what makes us Am Yisrael. It's not about a hierarchy. It's not about who's better than who. It's you have a specific job and they have a specific job. I spent a lot of time in Kenya teaching a Noahide group. Some of them will be listening to this class later on, right? And they are non-Jews who are living as non-Jews according to the Torah, right? But this is a philosophy. Everybody has what they're supposed to contribute to the world. If you're making a salad and you have a tomato and a cucumber, but you don't have a cucumber, you don't take a tomato and say you become a cucumber now, right? You go and you get a cucumber and then you can make your salad, right? Every single thing has its purpose and its job. And we need to remember what makes us unique. John Lennon had a beautiful and terrible song at the same time called Imagine, right? And it's very nice until you realize if we are all the same, then there's nothing special about anyone, right? What makes us special, right? We do not want to be faceless robots. We do not want to all be the same, right? There are differences between us. Celebrate those differences. Don't try to make everyone the same. So, Yevanim nikbetzu alai azai b'mechai. Third line. Umin notar kankanim na'asa nes lashoshanim. And what was left from the kankanim, the jugs, there was a little bit. Na'asa nes, there was a miracle done for the shoshanim. What is a shoshana? A rose. So we are referred to Kishoshana ben hachochim. Shlomo HaMelech refers to us like this in Shir HaShirim, in the Song of Songs. He writes, Kishoshana ben hachochim, like a rose amongst the thorns, right? Therefore, my love is amongst the other women, right? It's how God looks at us. It's not that there aren't other women around, but we are the rose in that place. B'nei bina, yemei shmona, kavu shir na'anim. The children of these wise men have taken 8 days and made a celebration for these 8 days as a commemoration. Okay, last one, and then we will we'll sing Maoz, Tzur, and light candles. Chasof zera kodeshecha. Okay, so quick introduction. This one doesn't come in till the 17th century, and the question is, who wrote it? Most people speculate the same person who wrote the first 5, 400 years beforehand. 300 to 400 years beforehand.
Yeah, but it can't be.
Could it be or can it not be?
Can't be.
Can't be. So, Al has an approach that he says it can't be. We have a copycat amongst us. Someone else looked at it, said, I understand the music and I'm going to write it like this. There are quite a few verses of Maoz Tzur floating around out there. Some have been burnt and disappeared in pogroms and inquisitions, but there are some that were written down, and even some from recent years. I have seen one for the Holocaust. I have seen one that dates back several hundred years from Morocco about the Muslims, okay? And after pogroms that the Muslims did for them in North Africa. I have seen one, a positive one, that was when the state of Israel in 1948, someone wrote another one as you have brought us back to Zion, and it's all positive and singing, and now we will build the temple, right? And I've seen, unfortunately, one 2 years ago, after the 7th of October, that someone wrote one as well of Ufartzu chomot migdalai, and they broke our walls, and they came over, and here is what they did, and it goes through it, and it's horrible. But still, most scholars think that Mordechai wrote this one as well. And they say something very interesting. This has been something that we have found in Jewish history in quite a few places. Jews self-censor. When we are surrounded with enemies, Jews stop and say, if we write this down or if we go to the printing press, which is all Christian, we will be attacked. We can't do this. One of the examples is Aleinu L'Shabech. Aleinu L'Shabech in the 1300s there's the main point of Aleinu L'Shabech is taken out because of persecution, and we cannot print it anymore. Today, in the past 50 years or so, it has come back in most Sidurim, and that is Shehem Mishtachavim Lehevel Varik, that they are bowing down to false gods. And there was a Jew who converted to Christianity who told the church that Varik, an emptiness, has the same numerical value as Yeshu. And because of that, we are saying that they are bowing down to false gods. We're referring to Jesus. This predates that by a lot, but the church was upset, and there was another reason to persecute Jews. So it was removed from all the Sidurim. Chicago, by the way, was one of the first communities to bring it back in America as a non-Israeli community. All Israeli communities have it. Israelis are shocked when they come to the community and they're like, you don't say Shehem Mishtachavim. And we will get to it. We will add it in. But after we learn it and understand it more, we'll add it in because it is the soul and essence of what Aleinu is. So, for generations, for about 400 years, Chasof Zerah was sung in all of the Batei Knesset, but it was never written down because they did not want the Christians to read this. Chasof Zerah Kodshecha, expose your mighty hand. V'karev ketz hayeshua, and bring an end to our suffering, right? And bring quickly our redemption. Nikom nikmat avadecha. The other versions are Nikom nikmat dam avadecha. Revenge or avenge the revenge of the blood of your nation. The blood of your nation that's been spilled over and over again. Me'uma haresha'a, from the wicked nation. Talking about Christianity during the Inquisition, during the Crusades, right? So can't really have this written down when you are being persecuted. Ki archa hasha'a, because the time is taking too long. Ve'en ketz li'mera, there's no end to the suffering, to these bad days. Deche Admon, push away Admon, the kingdom of Edom. Edom is, in most Jewish texts when referring to Edom, is referring to the Roman Empire that is Christianity, that becomes Christianity. Who is known as Edom? Book of Bereshit, recently read, that we talk about him, that he's Admoni. Esav. Esav is Admoni. So he is our brother, right? So Deche Admon, Betzel Salmon, that is hiding out under what? The Tselem. For those of you from the older generation, what's a Tselem? What's a Tselem? No. Say a Tselem. Maybe it's maybe. Do you speak Yiddish? Do you speak Tselem? A Tselem is the cross. A Tselem means means the statue. But in Yiddish, Tselem has only meant one thing. The crucifix, right? So Admon, the kingdom of Edom, the Roman Empire, that is hiding in the shadow of who? The crucifix of Christianity. Reject that. Hakem lanu ro'im shiva. Create for us the seven shepherds. Who are the seven shepherds? We have Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. Those are the first seven that we are familiar with, and them as Ushpizin. There is another one in the book of Micha that says it is the seven who will come in the end of time as part of the Geulah, and it is King David, Adam Harishon, Adam, Shet, who's a descendant, who's the son of Adam, right? Metushelach, the man who lived longer than anyone else. Very interesting character. Avraham, Yaakov, and Moshe. So another alternative. So this ends on a happy note of after all of the suffering we've been through, please God, redeem us, take us, and we'll and we can rejoice again. Now that we understand Maoz Tzur, ready? We're doing all 6.
Oh.
Now we know it. Maoz Tzur Yeshua. More. Chanukah Sameach, everyone.